Millions of new migrants could set foot on European soil next year unless steps are taken immediately. And this is a warning from a top EU official ahead of an EU summit that's being held in Brussels.
For us, it's important to work a lot in Africa. We need to have a strategy for Africa because without a solution in Africa, we will have more and more migrants, millions and millions of migrants in the next year coming from this region. For this, we need more investment on this.
Well, Libya is the country from which most African migrants set out for Europe, and the city of Sabha is one of the key human trafficking hubs. According to reports, people there are being bought and sold on local slave markets. Our video agency Ripley managed to get a first-hand account of what life is really like in the migrant hub.
Try to come back again for my place. That is the problem. These houses people, they got kidnapping people. They tell you, give me the money, what do you work today? Many people in Sabah here, they're working for here, they have money to how to they move to Tripoli. They pay the how to they go to Tripoli.
Well, as you can see on the map right here, most human trafficking routes across Africa are leading up to Libya, meeting in the city of Sabha right here. Those hoping to make it to Europe then pay drivers to get them to the capital, Tripoli. And from there, migrants are transported by sea, packed by the hundreds on board inflatable boats, dinghies and other vessels, mostly unfit for the perilous journey across the Mediterranean. Now, some of these people get robbed, kidnapped and sometimes even murdered in the process. Meanwhile, in Europe, there are voices questioning whether those making that trip across the Mediterranean en masse are actually fleeing war and famine or just seeking better job opportunities. Some of the NGOs rescuing migrants in the Mediterranean are being accused of encouraging human traffickers. Well, earlier, my colleague Daniel Hawkins asked Joel Millman, a senior press officer at the International Organization for Migration, about the reasons fueling migration and the roles that NGOs play in the crisis.
There's been a certain argument rising, especially from the sort of centre-right political spectrum, about the difference between migrants and asylum seekers in particular. They're saying that many of these people coming are economic migrants rather than people who are victims of war. Does that argument hold any water to you at all?
Well, it's certainly true, and we're not going to be. We were unequivocal about this. 2 years ago, the vast majority of migrants on this particular route through Tripoli were distressed migrants, where there were people fleeing war. The largest two countries 2 years ago were Syria and Eritrea. The Syrian traffic moved almost entirely to Turkey and then into Greece. So the numbers are extremely small. I mean, 40,000 2 years ago, and this year just over 1,000. So we know those migrants aren't coming much through this route anymore. Eritrea has also fallen off tremendously, so has Somalia and Sudan.
There is a train of thought saying that the volunteers that are doing this, that are rescuing these people and moving them onwards, that they're actually supporting trafficking by encouraging people to make this journey to play into the hands of traffickers. Are these people, the NGOs, perhaps partly to blame for a vicious cycle of traffickers and smugglers making profit from people's suffering?
I discount that argument completely. I was a reporter covering migration for almost 30 years, and I've heard that argument applied to ACLU lawyers and church people. I think the vicious cycle is the hunger, the war, the conditions of some of these countries, and also the demand for their labor in the rich countries. I mean, there's no question that you could just as easily ask, is the housewife part of that chain, or is the employer part of that chain? And the answer is yes, of course they are. So they're no more part of a vicious cycle than the rest of us who profit from this labor.